please.
Why the fuck not, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my grandma had a duck, and I remember, like, just fucking around with it. Like, not, like, fucking around, but, you know, playing around, but not... You can't, like, play around with a duck like a dog, you know?
Yeah, go fetch. No, it's pretty cool, though. I mean...
Use wing attack.
Yeah. Fly. But it's really weird. Yeah, because they sell ducks. A lot of different kinds of ducks at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. And, basically, you put in an order in the spring, or the winter, actually, for the spring. And then the eggs will get delivered there once they're laying. And when they hatch, you can pick them up anytime you want.
Huh.
And they bought 5.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's cool, too, because they're a type of duck called Indian runners. And they stand, like, upright, kind of like penguins, you know?
They prefer to be
Yeah,
called
they're really cool.
runners.
Huh?
Don't listen, Eric.
Yeah. We should start a podcast Instagram.
A podcast Instagram?
Yeah, we'll put it on the Instagram.
Podcast Pornhub page.
We should. Let's do that instead. Be more.
There's
like...
a lot of people on Pornhub all the time.
Yeah, but do we want to post that up there as for, you know?
Yes.
They'll think that it was supposed to be masturbated to.
We'll
Well-
probably also get paid because it's on Pornhub. So, like, the
I mean,
amount of
if-
times people click on our shit.
If we're getting masturbated to, that's even better for like our viewership. We're emotionally invested. At least physically invested.
Yeah, exactly. At least
Yeah.
physically. Oh my god.
To ducks,
That's like
though? Do you want
Wheeler
people
Walker
physically
Jr.
invested to
promoted on
ducks?
Pornhub.
What?
Wheeler Walker Jr., the like country singer,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
did his stuff on Pornhub, and he had like a Pornhub exclusive music video.
Oh my
Really?
god.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna move into this market for sure.
I mean, I'll put a dick pic out on there if we need like the skin to get into the game. I'm cool with that.
What the
I'll take
heck
that
is wrong with
sacrifice.
you?
You're willing to you're willing to throw the first stone, Eric?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yep.
You
Okay.
smell like outside.
I was just outside.
What
Is it
podcast
warm out?
become?
It's sunny.
Yeah, really. What has this podcast become?
Yeah, I was just thinking. We just gotta change it to we speak for the dicks.
Yeah, depending on where we're at, we speak for a different thing.
That could get a little confusing though, as like we had a new topic every episode or something.
Yeah.
It's just we speak for the and then a blank.
Yeah. We speak for the what?
The something.
The sub.
All right, so first order of business, we need to get a Pornhub account.
Done.
I'll do. Oh, nice.
Oh wait, what?
You actually did that.
Nope, I did. Got my personal.
I've never signed up for a Pornhub account, cause I mean, I never really watched that much porn.
I
I'm in the
watched
same
a lot
boat.
of porn in my youth.
I've
What?
also.
Hey, kitty. I forgot to close the door.
It's okay.
That's crazy.
In my youth.
I've also never created a Pornhub account.
Wait, do you legit have a Pornhub account?
No,
Okay.
that shit's free.
Can you make an account, though?
Yeah, but you gotta pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on. But when it comes to porn, Eric, are you a videos kind of guy or a pictures kind of guy?
A videos kind of guy.
Okay.
Pictures doesn't do nothing for me.
Interesting. Okay. Because I'm definitely a pictures kind of guy.
I mean, I could appreciate a nice nude photo, but sometimes that just doesn't get the full point across.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you familiar with the ball hogs
No,
from your mom's house?
Your mom's house.
I am not.
Well, there is a porno segment called Ball Hogs, and there's a bunch of intros, and the girls are like, the one bitch that was the best, her name was like Peyton Lafferty, and she goes, I'm Peyton Lafferty, and I'm a ball hog, and it's just like, it's an audio, like, obviously they don't show the porno on the podcast, but the audio is just her going bananas on some dude's ball bag, and
Wow.
he's like, oh yeah, put your face up against it. He's like, now bat your eyelashes on these balls.
What the
and it's
fuck?
just you can't get that in a picture, you know.
Yeah.
See, but that wouldn't do it for me. I like to use my imagination a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
plus, when you're on Tumblr, you can just keep scrolling down, and then if you get bored of the picture, you move on to the next picture.
Yeah.
that's true, but I don't know.
It's way better.
I mean, I can respect, you
'Cause
know, the
porn-
videos. I
well-
watch them sometimes, short little ones, you know, but I don't feel motivated enough to be invested in an entire video.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen like a full, like, as should be produced like porn video, like all the way through. It's only like little clips, you know.
Mhm.
I think that's like a large chunk of the. If you're a male listener that's finished an entire porno, start to finish,
Write in the comments.
please tell us why.
Yeah. Was it really that good? Was it worth it?
Yeah. Were you that
I could
invested?
see maybe you have like your favorite porno that you watch like once a month because you know you'll get off to it.
But then there's like those weird shit like the like Star Wars, like fucking parodies and stuff like that.
Or Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, and they all like change like one name and they'll put like cock in there or something like
Yeah. Harry Cocker.
like Star Wars or Ball Wars or something like that.
Wasn't Star
And-
Wars the thing in Zack and Miri Make a Porno?
But I don't remember
Okay.
the wordplay. You understand the wordplay?
Yes, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah.
I remember Matt LeBlanc in high school told me that he would like to make the music for the pornos. Like that old, like, just smooth, like, fucking softcore
Okay.
mom porno.
Yeah.
He wanted
Soft.
to be
Wait, hold
band
on.
with the music.
Softcore mom porno.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's got Kenny G in the background. Just like the old school shit.
Urban
Not that.
funk.
Classic porno.
Yeah, the classics.
What a strange way to start the podcast.
We speak for the pornos because the porn stars' mouths are full.
That's great. Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Was that on the spot too? Yeah. That was good.
I'm really confused how we were just talking about ducks to pornos.
Because we're going to put up on Pornhub.
Oh, yeah. We totally could put up, like, non-pornographic pictures, though, like, for real. I don't see why not. We got a Facebook page thing,
Yeah.
so, you know.
Yeah, see, the Pornhub account has to have just like a testicle shot in like the thumbnail photo just so they think we're all on the same page. And then when they go to it, all of a sudden, comedy environmental podcast. Not
You
like-
know.
That would really work.
So it's a like a
Like
bait. It's a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old, we're honey dicking them.
We're honey dicking them. Wow. Well, who's gonna volunteer to have the preliminary photos for the bait?
I'll show my dick. We'll do the old thumb
Lil
trick.
Diablo.
The old- We'll pull the old thumb trick in the bad lighting photo.
Oh my god.
By the way, speaking of, well, yeah, the thumb trick, you know, you could get away with that. Then it's actually nobody's real dick. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But,
Unless somebody wants like a potential side gig to get into.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess you never know.
Who
I'm
needs
open
the
to
money?
new
more?
opportunities.
We all do.
Okay, but, Eric, you still have to do that fucking milk challenge, dude.
Oh, the gallon thing?
Yeah, the gallon challenge. You were so...
I'm still pretty confident.
What is it?
I'm pretty confident.
So the
in
gallon
it.
challenge is... Oh, that was the one you weren't there for.
Okay.
So the gallon challenge is where you have to drink a gallon of milk within an hour without puking.
That'd be hard, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Eric, the last time we spoke of this on the podcast, Eric was a little drunky, and he was vehement in his, ability that he would be able to do it.
I've
even-
seen Eric drink 2 like tall glasses of milk in like one sitting before. So I feel like it'd be very easy for him to just chug down a gallon of
That
milk.
ain't no gallon though.
Like if you gave me glasses and I just kept refilling a glass, oh my God, get out of Compton! Like the gold is mine.
Get out of Compton.
What does he win if he can defeat the challenge?
Okay. I like this. I want to make this a real challenge. Okay.
We'll be home for spring break in a few
right.
weeks.
Yeah, we could do it. Okay, so let's see.
Can't do it.
What do you think? What do we, if he
What does he
wins?
win?
Yeah.
He gets to put his dick up on Pornhub.
That's not a prize. That's just a voluntary option.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. If you can do it, I'll buy you dinner.
From where?
I don't
His
fucking know.
choice, or do you have a
yeah,
specific
somewhere
place?
within reason, like a
Portillo's.
restaurant or a
Nick
diner or
wants to
something.
take you on a
We're
date
going to
afterwards.
Benihana's.
Portillo's.
No, if I want a nice juicy joint.
A nice juicy joint. Okay.
Why don't you go to
Okay.
that barbecue place that's in Crystal Lake?
Oh yeah, place is pretty good.
Oh no! If we're going barbecue, we're going to the one in. Oh, dude, I would totally. I'd do it, man. I would. There's a place
Wait,
in
yeah,
Woods.
we talked about that barbecue place.
Yeah,
you
it's
said
amazing.
your
It's
thing
called
about.
Barbecue King. It's fucking phenomenal.
Are they the king?
Yeah, they're the king.
Yeah, we should go. Oh, we should go on a double date with your girlfriend.
Yeah,
get
we
your
can go
girl.
with
How's
Sarah.
your bee, Nick?
What?
How's your girl?
Oh, she's great, man. It's fucking fantastic.
You having a good time?
Yeah, man. I've basically only gone in the last 3 weeks. I've only gone like 2 days without seeing her at some point during the day. You know.
It all goes down from there.
Yeah, these are the good times. These are the really fun months.
I mean, I know I've been I've been there before, but no, man, it's honestly like everything that I'd thought about for a long time about the previous relationship, I feel like is fulfilled in this relationship. Like, it's kind of crazy, man.
Nice.
And
you
she's just
weren't
such
even-
like an awesome person.
You weren't even trying.
Yeah, I know, man. It just happens, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love
Love it. But yeah, you guys will get to meet her, if we can work that out. We want to go camping, so y'all should fucking come camping.
When?
Whatever, like that Saturday or something, I guess, when you're around, or...
What's it been like in Illinois, weather-wise?
It's been kind of cold this week. Last week it got up to the mid-50s. It's supposed to be in the 60s over, like, later in spring break for us, though.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Where do you guys want to go camping?
I don't know. I mean, Rock Cut's kind of close, and it's pretty nice, and it's big, and, we could go there. I think it's pretty fucking cheap. Or Matheson, they do camping, or, like Starved Rock does camping. So there's a lot of places.
Nice.
But yeah, those state parks, man, can't beat them.
What do you want to bring up for this episode?
Nice segue. Well, actually, segueing. This is not a planned topic, but segueing off of just state parks in general. Do you guys know? Are you aware of all the shit that's going on in the Department of the Interior with the reduction of all the national monuments?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like bears' ears and stuff like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Well, yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the Secretary of the Interior, Ryan Zinke, is currently pushing for the reduction. So there's like various different designations for federally and state protected land. There's national parks, there's state parks, there's national monuments, and there's wilderness areas.
And there's national historical areas.
Right, national historical areas, yeah. And they have varying designations of protection based on which kind of reserved area it is. And he's calling specifically for the reduction of national monuments. I think total like 2.2 million acres or some crazy amount of land.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, and Bears Ears, which here I think it's in
Utah, right?
Yeah, it's in Well, that's one of the most significantly,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Utah, yeah, you got it. Reduced monuments. It's, yeah, it's. There's a lot of tribes too that are going to be impacted by the reductions because a lot of land is jointly protected between tribal jurisdictions and the reserved land jurisdictions. So they're going to lose a lot of land again. So yeah.
Well,
Wait, so going to
does
reduce it
Congress
even
have?
further?
I thought like Congress had to vote,
Not for monuments.
not for monuments.
Monument is through an executive order, which is done by the president.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, wasn't like the issue with that, like, because the Antiquities Act, the president is allowed to take land, but it does it like, I don't think it specifies whether he's allowed to like undesignate land.
I'm pretty sure he can though, because
Yeah.
that was a whole topic.
He just has to repeal the.
Well, yeah, it was a whole topic in one of my policy classes. Like they were talking about how, like how wide the pendulum can swing, you know, in terms of executive politics, and like how pretty much any president could completely undo the work of any previous president if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Here, let's see what we got on the Antiquities Act though. I want to read the exact. Okay, yeah. So, Antiquities Act of 1906, act passed by United States Congress, signed by Theodore Roosevelt, gives the President of the United States authority to, by presidential proclamation, create national monuments from federal lands to protect significant natural, cultural, or scientific features. But it says that presidential powers have been reduced twice. Let's see. So there, for a couple of specific cases, presidents have to get congressional consent for the future creation or enlargement of national monuments in specific states. So Alaska and Wyoming have particular laws that presidents have to have, like, basically consent from Congress in order to do it. Yeah, that's interesting, though. It doesn't explicitly say whether or not they can be undeclared. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Well, hopefully all that shit doesn't go down. I know that a lot of the people, that are fighting against the reduction are, mobilized and are prepared to, keep it going, because there's a lot of places that are going to get reduced if this goes through. But yeah, and that brings me to another topic that I wanted to discuss with y'all.
The chief of the Forest Service getting nasty.
Huh?
The chief of the Forest Service being nasty.
Motherfucker. No, I didn't even hear about that. What's going on with that?
He has some sexual misconduct allegations.
Really?
With people, his subordinates, and he resigned yesterday.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Was this a member of the Trump cabinet, or was this somebody that was already?
No, this was just like the chief of the Forest Service.
Ah, interesting.
He was like with them for 40 years before he became chief.
Dude, that actually reminds me of something that happened to me yesterday. I think it was around like between classes or something. So it was yesterday evening. I was on campus and I was in the library, just killing time before I had to go to a presentation. And I was sitting there, and there was the library at NIU. It's set up where there's an area with like computers, that people can use, and basically they're like circular tables with like maybe like 6 to 8 computers at each table or whatever. And I was sitting on one side of this table, and there was these 2 other people that were on the other side of the table. And they were talking very intensely about all sorts of like crazy shit, man. Like this one guy was talking about the fact that basically like everything you see going on that's wrong is like the Illuminati, and that basically like the fact that like cars are getting more sophisticated and there's AI in cars now, and like the fact that you see all these like child prostitution rings going on with all these political officials and like all this crazy shit that's going on. He's like, man, you don't understand like how satanic and stuff all these people are. And like he was like, one time I was driving my car and I came to a railroad track, and all of a sudden all the lights in my car started going crazy and my car stopped moving, and I couldn't move, and I knew somebody was hacking my car, and I was listening to this guy and I was like, oh my god, like
He's been listening to a lot of Alex Jones.
yeah, I was like, this
Yeah,
is
dude.
like this is like the reason why like
Sorry.
The frogs
no,
are
it's
gang.
true though. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was crazy, man. Like everything that was happening, he was saying was like connected, man. He was like, like there was just that school shooting in Florida, and there's shootings all the time, and all these shootings, these people are all working together, and like all this shit. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And the other guy, I think, was like a guy who wasn't like that deep into conspiracy stuff, but he was like cynical, of the world, I suppose, and he was like willing to listen to him. And I kind of feel like bad for that other guy, because I feel like now, like he just got like a half hour's worth of all this insane shit, and now he's probably like thinking about it and like, oh my god, what if that guy's like, what if the shit that guy was saying is true, and now like I just feel like it's like way too easy, like in our culture, just because of how you can like post videos on YouTube like willy-nilly, to like, I just feel like it's so easy for people to fall into the traps of like a lot of really ridiculous theories,
Yeah.
You're definitely right. But I don't know. I think like, because most of the time, like, there's no talking those people out of it.
Right. Like I kind of wanted to like talk to him, just be like, hey man, like governments are like really inefficient, and like there's a lot of fuckery that goes on, like even within one political structure against other members of that structure, because people are greedy, and there's no like unified front of super elite people that are all working together because they would all just want the best shit to themselves. Like just because cars are getting self-driving doesn't mean that they're trying to like hack into everyone's lives, and like it just. But yeah, like you're saying, like I don't think he would have listened at all. He'd probably just been like, "Oh, your eyes are closed, man." Like
the reason why every product is becoming so lazy is because every human being is so fucking lazy. Not because there's a global organization against them. Even though I kind of do believe there might be something out there that is definitely, in a way, pulling strings.
Yeah, for sure.
That is not known. And it's definitely not a name that we would know to say, because they would be that powerful where we wouldn't even know how to find out about them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I don't even know about that. Like, you'd have to, like, people don't keep their mouth shut about anything for a long period of time. Like, absolutely nothing. And, like, to think that there's, like, this large group of people scattered throughout the world that have kept this, like, one secret going in, like, a closed circle for
it's definitely not a
all
large
these
group,
years.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably just like 5 people, though.
Well,
I don't know.
That's what I would think.
Again, I don't
Because
know.
there is no way it could be like at least 1,000 people, because, they couldn't keep that secret.
Well, the thing about that, though, is, like, if you talk to people that believe, very passionately about, like, the Illuminati, they always bring up the fact that the Freemasons and all of these other kind of, like, quasi-political and revolutionary, like, cults, if you want to call them that, like, these closed groups, that use symbolic, or symbolism is, like, a very heavy part of the way that they transmit knowledge, And, I mean, a lot of them will go back, they'll be like, well, man, like, there's a reason that the pyramids are on the dollar, it started with Egypt, and, the Freemasons and the Enlightenment and the Renaissance, it's all the same people. So, I mean, even to that degree, they still believe that there is this group that has had global contact somehow for, and pulling the strings, but, I mean,
but, like, the stretch of time that would have to be going on for, like, this one group to keep everything going the way it is, like, I mean, it's just like a crazy length of time.
No, you're.
That I don't think
You're
I can't
definitely
think of one like thing besides like people just as a whole like that's been going on for like that duration of time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just always think it's interesting, you know, because like people can justify so many things if they, you know, what is that called? When you like, oh god, what is that called? It's like a process where you're like reaffirming your own beliefs by
Oh,
looking for the information that caters to those beliefs. I forget what it's called, but yeah. I mean, I definitely don't believe like any of that
is
shit. I
that
mean,
confirmation bias?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, obviously the people, because there are like, you know, 5 or 6 families that own pretty much most corporations in the United States, but like even to the degree which they have ability to control everything, there's still there's still so many steps in between, and the system overall is so bureaucratic that I mean I don't think it's possible for like 5 people to rule the world, you know?
And like if you think about like the companies in America, like yeah, those are all like a couple of family owned like the biggest companies. But
Right.
like if you look over to like those people that are in like what's that crazy like Dubai or something like that have all that oil money, like those people are so rich like you can't even put like enough like trillions of dollars if not more like those lineages of like oil empires and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like if anybody's ruling anything, it's going to be those people because they've got fucking money like none of us could even believe. But
Yeah, money is not even like they probably
But that's the thing. Money isn't worth anything. The people that run everything, money doesn't control them. You know? Like, especially if there is this sort of superior, like, Illuminati type thing, they're not controlled, they're not limited by money because they know money is not power. They understand that. And that's why most humans are blind to that because we think
but
we're on this eternal chase for money. You know?
but if they have all the money, then they have the power. Then the money is the power. Like you're not seeing the
Well,
poor
money
people
isn't the
like
power.
having all these things. Like it's the people that already have the money.
But money isn't the power.
But the reason they have the power is because they have the money.
No.
Like all the
They
lobbies.
have the money because they have the power. They don't have the power because they have the money.
No, because people can come up and make money.
Yeah, the
and
Dubai
come
people,
make
but I'm
power.
talking about like the like Illuminati type figure. They have the money because they have the power. They don't need the money to have the power.
Sure, they do.
But then, hold on. So let's unpack this though. So right, so you're saying they don't need money to have power
Because they
Right.
already have the power,
right?
and power gives them money.
Right, but then how do you get power? Like where do those figures? How do they actually build up a power infrastructure like that though? Then,
Well,
you
look
know?
back at how power was transferred back in the medieval times. It was transferred through generations. You
Medieval
passed
times,
down-
game and tournaments.
You know?
Dinner and
And
tournaments.
especially if it did follow all the way from the pyramids. If that's true, then it definitely would be passed down through the generations. Most likely, it's passed down just to the firstborn male. You know, that's probably the person that's been passed down to from all these years. And that's
Yeah, but those people that are getting passed down are getting money passed down to them, like the kings who had their sons and like Queen Elizabeth.
I
Like,
know.
they've got
the money.
but like
But they got the money because they got the power.
But I think they got the power because they had the money. Like you can't just declare that your next son is going to be the ruler of the free world because you've got nothing to give. Like
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on.
Yes.
But okay, so money is a bad metric to measure as a
You're
unit
talking
for
about
gaining
wealth.
power. Well, right, accumulation of material I think is
Yeah.
more close to the thing
Yeah.
as opposed to
at least
money.
like in economics, money and currency are two different things, you know?
Well, right. But like, because all power structures originate with aristocracy, which after we started settling down and certain people were places before other people, and then they said, well, we own this land, and if you want to live on this land and benefit from our work, you have to be, contributing to the estate, or whatever you want to call it. And those people who establish those estates first are the ones who originate the power because they start the whole structure. And it does go on from there. But I think the problem with, again, because I don't think any of us here are actually think the Illuminati's a real thing. But well, I can't speak for you guys. But
I think they were like a offshoot, like revolutionary type deal. But I don't think they're pulling the strings of the
right,
free.
in the sense that they control the world.
Yeah.
Which
no
is
way.
right. Well,
No.
right. Obviously, it's probably why not? I mean,
It's
anybody
I don't
could
think
congregate
Jesus
and
turned
call
water
themselves the
into
Illuminati if they
Yeah.
want to. I mean,
Like Sack.
right, exactly like that. But I don't know. I just think that people are too willing to jump to insane conclusions when honestly we're just a bunch of fucking monkeys and
Can I
we're
go?
really not that special.
I want to go on a rant. Okay.
Go for it.
So, I think that this Illuminati shit was created by the U.S. government. I could totally conceive, I don't believe this to be 100% true, but I could believe this to be plausible, in my understanding. But I could see that the U.S. government would create a conspiracy theory that there is such thing as the Illuminati, or that there is such thing as what they think. Forget the other ones, but there's other theories of people who run the world,
The New World Order and stuff like that.
New World Order, and so the reason why they would create this theory is to separate the knowledge from the people of how they truly can create change. And I mean, of course people can figure this out, of course, But this, if you listen to anything, they're all talking about national problems and global problems. There's nowhere where you can, actually focus on your community problems, it's very, people don't really focus on that anymore. They don't give a shit about their community. They see the shooting in Florida and they're like, oh my god, we gotta do something about that. The Dakota pipeline, we gotta do something about that. Oh my god, all of this, we gotta do something about that. And then they're wasting at least 5 hours of one day thinking about that, when how often do they go out into their own community and do something that can truly change how their community works? And that's the way that we make true change in this nation, is by going past power structures, because power structures are irrelevant. They don't mean shit compared to what you can do in your life towards another human being. That's the most important thing that you can do, is go to your friends and say, what can I do to help you make your life better? That's the only thing that is going to create change within our nation. Not changing government, not government reform. If everyone can take care of themselves, everyone will eventually realize that we don't need government to begin with. We never need government. All we need is a free market of good-hearted people that starts with us reaching out to the next person and seeing how we can help them. Because if I'm thinking about the people in Afghanistan, then I'm thinking about something that I have no control over, and I'm thinking about something that is totally beyond me. And maybe, of course I need to have knowledge, and I would love to go over there and help people, but right now, all I can truly do is focus on the people around me, and if I can't help the people around me first, then I definitely won't be able to go to Afghanistan and help people who are so separated from me,
Good rant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I agree.
And I don't think this is necessarily something that they're trying to hide. I just think it's something that people aren't focused on. It's not portrayed in the media in any sort like that,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we are, again, see, I do for sure think that it only makes sense that a power structure that's in power wants to try to keep itself in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So its main goal then is to limit dissension as much as possible by keeping people busy on things that are irrelevant to the grander scheme of how the machine operates.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, they've got the news on, and it's, murder, rape, murder, mass shooting, murder, Kim Jong-un, over and over. But I still don't think that it's like a small clandestine group of highly involved and overreaching people that are controlling the whole. I mean, I think it's just power in general seeks to keep itself in power, you know. Whereas nature wants to achieve balance, and at some point it all gets torn down anyway because we're all gonna fucking die. So, but I do think that your point is well made on how we're so worried about shit that we have no actual scope or ability to change. You know, we're like so worried about what's going to happen, what, you know, all these, you know, Middle Eastern countries that, you know, they're telling us we want to go there to make the people free, but really it's just to get the oil or whatever, you know.
If we really wanted to bring them change, we would act in a different way than we are, you know.
I'm trying to remember who said it, but I remember a great quote one time where it was somebody from, like, a Middle Eastern country that emigrated to the United States, and he said that, like, we don't realize it, but, you know, even though the rest of the world looks up to the United States, they all feel like the United States looks down on the rest of the world, you know, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, people have to try to maximize their potential within, like Jordan Peterson says, you know, within their actual realm of competence, you know, clean up your room, so to speak.
Yeah, no, exactly,
Yeah. I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
No, I agree with everything Luke said. I agree with everything that you said. I mean,
well, that's no fun.
Sorry, you're all wrong. No, I don't know. I mean, I think like everything involving people, like this shit's complicated. Like,
right? Yeah.
There's not gonna be like one or two good ways to do this. Like, people are too complex, and
there's
like
no silver bullet.
Yeah, everybody's thought like and individuals are like, even though we're like 1/1000% different genetically between each other, like everybody is still like super diverse in like their emotions and their background and their experiences, that it's just gonna either, you know, you're just gonna have to learn to deal with everybody's shit just like everybody deals with your own, or we've gotta like find at least a significant like similarity that everybody can get behind, like one way or another or something like that.
That brings me
like
to my next rant. Can I say it now? Or
Sure.
round two.
I was actually talking to my friend at school about something like, you know, like government is imperfect because it keeps on looking at fractures in our society. It keeps on fracturing it into different like groups, kind of like whether or not they mean to, or like even the media does this all the time, and just the way we speak and everything. Like we look for the differences in people instead of the similarities, you know, and or maybe this was for a religion, I don't remember. But either way, I think that the only way that we can have a structure for government that works indefinitely is it has to be based upon principles, just as like the early religions were, you know, like just like either way, it just has to be based upon principles that we all have in common. You know, like one of them is that everyone wants to love and be loved. Like there's no doubt everyone wants that for sure. Like if you don't want that, I don't think that's possible. You know,
unless you're like John Wayne Gacy.
Okay. No, I bet he even wanted to be loved.
No, you're probably right.
You know?
He loved clowns.
And like even like in Africa, in that tribe where I forget, I just remember watching a video on it, but you know, like when someone's bad, they all go and hug them, you know, and they all go and love them, and then welcome them back in the tribe. Here we sent you off where all the other bad people were, instead of inviting you into our tribe again and hugging you and loving you until you're better again. You know, we fill you with hate and with more hate. But if we actually had a government that fills love to the hate, and like I know it's very like 70s, you know, but like it truly needs to be based upon like simple principles, not all these stupid bureaucratic laws. Like you can't park on the sidewalk because 1 inch on the sidewalk, so you're getting a ticket. Like there's no point in spending our time on that. We should be spending time on like even like when it comes down to the smallest like police officer within our system. Like, they shouldn't be having to follow all these stupid shit. Should be based upon principles that they have been set out to do. You know, like, so if you see someone's being, like, I don't know, like, if they're walking down the street and they see someone being just mean to another partner, they'd kind of be like a therapist almost, you know, like they'd go in there and be like, what's going on? Can I help you guys? You know, almost more than being a sign of threat. It should be a sign of love, you know.
So what you're talking about is it's like a concept called conviviality, which is so conviviality is essentially that it's the idea that the way our system is set up is to make us so sectionalized and specialized in what we do. We do the same thing over and over. We get very good at it, but there's a high degree of alienation between what you do and the actual product of your own work.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel like a cog in a machine, basically.
Yeah.
School is derived to get you used to being on a schedule. You sit where you're assigned. You go to this class, then you go to that class, then you have lunch at a specific time. You know, it trains us essentially to be like factory workers, you know, which is what school was supposed to be originally anyway. They never really got past that paradigm. But conviviality is the idea that in order to kind of break away from that, even if you still have to work a shitty job, or even if you have to still work within the confines of the structure, it's to foster and try to grow senses of community and interdependence between people, whether they're your family members, whether they're your neighbors, they're your peers where you work. You're trying to foster a sense of mutual beneficial interaction between people. So you're each supplying what the other lacks in any given situation. Yeah. You're supplying emotional support. You're supplying enjoyment and entertainment. But you can, you know, it's just right. It's just how you choose to interact with people on a daily basis, you know, and try to gain skills that are useful to yourself and to others throughout your life, you know, like in various situations. Like, I know how to tile a floor now. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's ever going to come in handy outside of doing housework with Eamon and Rhea, but I might need to tile a floor sometime. I know how to install Windows now. I know, and I don't mean on a computer. I know how to, you know, it's there's just things in life that we're trained to not think about anymore. Like regular skills, like reading a map, man. I don't know how many people I've talked to that don't know how to read a map anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, why don't you use GPS? Well, what if your phone dies? Mm-hmm. What do you do then? Do you even have an atlas in your car? Like, you know, I think that just having skills that people can benefit from and benefit others from, you know, it's really important, and to be grateful to in general in life. But yeah, conviviality, man. Fostering community and interdependence. Mm-hmm. It's really
that's perfect. Like,
yeah. It's a concept that I actually learned about in one of my ENVS classes last semester.
What
303, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that now.
Okay. You learned about it real close to the end. I forget the name of the dude who came up with it, but it's a very uplifting concept. Probably not. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. But so I really want, though, to discuss, just for humor's sake, some of the most ridiculous conspiracy theories that we've ever heard. And we've been talking a lot, so do either of y'all Northerners have any ridiculous... I mean, aside from the obvious, like Flat Earth, but, you know, you can talk about that, too, if you want.
Minecraft is
I
real.
think that one's just the most absurd.
That ice wall, dude.
If there's one I had to pick out, like, right off the top of my head, it's just those motherfucking flat earthers. Like, I just can't believe it.
Do you know, like, when that started becoming popular? Like, in the scope of modern time?
Yeah. I don't think it went away. I just think, like, they always, like, were there, like, to some degree. And then Twitter and Reddit happened. And then other people were able to see that, and then it gained popularity because other people were making fun of them, and they, like, went and checked it out, and then, like, accidental conversion. Like, homie at the library, you know? I think it's a lot to do with that. It's scary.
Have you ever met a flat earther in real life?
Oh, God, no.
I don't even know what I'd do if I came across one, man.
I might just like put my hand on their shoulder, shake my head, and just like give them a little pat and walk away.
A pet.
It's like I had these like disciples of Jesus Christ come and try and like ask me about a personal miracle that our Lord and Savior has provided me in my life, and I was just like, yeah, I like to kind of think that I had a lot to do with the things that go right in my life. And they're like, oh, okay. And no, I was being like polite and stuff, but
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to give away the credit for like the things that I've done to somebody else. And they're like, oh, okay. And like they were still kind of just like, do you know anybody that could use one? And I was gonna be like, well, I've got this one Jewish friend. And, yeah, it's like they wanted me to just pick any good thing that happened and then say it was because of Jesus.
Jesus.
If you let Jesus into your life.
It's like, I'm glad that homie was able to help you out, but I've just been doing me.
Yeah, no, for sure. God
That's
damn
the other big conspiracy. Organized
Wait, what was
religion.
The conspiracy? That Jesus is legit, or
Organized religion is a conspiracy.
Yeah. If not a conspiracy, then a giant prank for sure.
Yeah, it's like, you got us.
Yeah.
You can stop. Please.
You know, still, like 75% or so of Americans designate themselves as Christians still.
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose, considering it was probably 100% at one time, is not bad. That's like,
Yeah.
you know, that's like 75 million people that
Yep.
don't think of themselves as Christians.
You know, my problem with Christian missionary type work, like, the main thing is they'll go to foreign countries and they'll help them out. Sure, that's great. But then they just leave. And then they don't do anything. And then you're responsible for yourself. But when they convert everyone, what are they going to do? They're going to stop doing anything. When really what they should be doing, and should be doing all along, is really going out to people within their community, and then being of service to the people within their church already. So if you, like, I went to church not too long ago, and you can see people are still just like, they're dead inside. You know, like there's people there that are still dead inside. And they should be there looking for those people and going and helping them. You know, not trying to convert people. Like, that takes so much more work than keeping, like, it's like, just like classic business. It's easier to retain a consumer than to find a new one, you know?
Yeah, but the difference in this case is that their goal is not financial, and those people are already Christians. So now it's just no, it's the devil's responsibility now. You know, I mean, because once they're Christian, then it's out of their hands. Well, we did our best. They're Christian now. They gotta listen to Jesus. Don't follow the devil, sonny. Idle hands are the devil's playground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you chopped off that foreskin.
Well, Adela,
Foreskin, my boy.
what's your favorite conspiracy theory?
She's sleeping.
Oh, is she really?
Really?
Yeah, she passed out.
Oh.
Take her pulse.
Just know it. No, she's farting away over here.
Oh, she's far
Oh. Lovely. She's gonna love when she hears this shit. Yeah. I think maybe my favorite conspiracy theory, just because people are so weird about it, like some people, is that the government is contaminating all water supplies with fluoride in order to calcify your third eye, so you can't achieve real consciousness anymore.
Yeah.
I've talked to quite a few people who believe that pretty, like...
Oh, my goodness.
Like, yes, this is happening.
Yeah, I've heard that one, too. It's like, I want you to go to any congressman and ask him to just say, where's the pineal gland located?
Right?
And they're going to look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Excuse me, Senator Lindsey Graham, can you tell me where your pineal gland is?
I believe that's in your rectum, right, sir?
Right next to the prostate.
Oh, yeah.
stimulate that pineal gland every night.
We call that Jesus' baby toe where I'm from.
Did you hear about the preacher that died from autoerotic asphyxiation?
That's so awesome.
One of those, not Billy Graham, but one of those big, TV Christian preachers died.
Good.
I hope it was that Joel Osteen motherfucker.
No, he's still kicking.
God damn it.
Did you drop your rock?
Yeah, I dropped my rock. Hold on, we got an emergency here. I dropped my Black Hills quartz.
Uh-oh.
I got it.
It blends in perfectly with the carpet. Yeah, they even think that the chemtrails and the fluoride thing is connected. Like, they think, oh, that's why chemtrails are a thing, man. They're trying to poison all the surface water supplies, too. It's not just drinking water, it's the rivers and the lakes, too, man. What are you talking about?
Chemtrails are actually a thing that has slowed down global warming. That's what I think it is. That's what I think chemtrails are.
I think it's the fact that when you have jet fuel combusting in the
Nope,
sky...
definitely not that. Nope, it's definitely slowing down global warming.
It cools, and then clouds condense from the water vapor that's emitted out of the back of the turbines, and it makes clouds.
That's a stupid thought.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's like an Avatar where they're at the Aunt Wu's, the town with Aunt Wu.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, can your science explain why it rains? Yes, it can! And the guy just shakes his head at Sokka. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, again, if it's a conspiracy theory, I think that's way more plausible that they're trying to slow down global warming than poison our third eye.
Well, cloud seeding is a real thing. But it's not the same thing as what are they called? Contrails, though.
I think it's different.
Well, so cloud seeding is where planes will fly up into no, not quite that far, the altosphere, I think.
Oh, okay.
What is it? It's troposphere, altosphere, stratosphere, exosphere.
Yeah, I think
something
so.
like
I
that.
think so. Yeah.
Well, they'll fly up into the altosphere and they'll go in cloud formations and they'll spray this. It's usually
It's like silver, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a silver oxide compound
Okay.
that increases the reflectivity of the clouds and it helps more clouds to form. So that is a real thing, but it's not the same thing as the contrails. Although technically there would be a slight reflective effect of the contrail. So technically, inadvertently, it is probably reflecting more sunlight a little bit.
You know what it probably is actually? I think it's alien food. So what they're putting up there, okay, you heard it here first. It's alien food. Chemtrails is alien food. So when the aliens get here, they need to take a shit. So first they go, they just let out in our atmosphere, of course, because it's just going to burn up. So they take a shit, and then they probably have weird gestation pouches that they let out in our atmosphere, and in order for them not to declare war on us, the government has started putting chemtrails up there to feed them, the gestation of the babies. But the babies are actually octopuses.
Octopi.
No. Octopuses. That's from their planet. They call them octopuses.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Not English.
What planet is this?
Natu. I don't know.
Natu?
Yeah.
Isn't that a Pokemon?
I think that is a Pokemon. Oh yeah, that's the little green boy.
The little bird.
Yeah.
And then it turns into Zatu, which is the big green bird.
Yeah. That sounds like a foreign planet though, for sure.
A foreign planet?
Yeah.
Not one of those American planets.
It's one of those Mexican planets.
But anyways.
Okay, hold on. Eric, do you believe that Sasquatch is real?
No.
You don't?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I think it could have been.
Okay.
One of the weird megafauna that we killed during the Ice Age.
Oh, you're not an overkill hypothesizer, are you?
What do you mean?
He obviously is.
The Pleistocene overkill? You really think people killed all the megafauna?
I don't think we killed all of them, but I think we definitely helped.
No way. I think it's ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous, man.
But why?
That's a ridiculous conspiracy theory.
Okay, no, hold on. If you want to know why, just look at the bison. That's the only example you need, honestly. There was 30 to 50 million bison existing for the last 20,000 years up until the whites came, you know? I mean, there's no historical evidence that there was any mass extinctions of bison. The only reason all the other megafauna disappeared is because of the fucking impact, man. I'm all in on the Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, man. I mean, there's too many things that have been coming out over and over in the last couple of years that continue to verify everything they've been talking about. That, well, okay, so here's the other reason why it doesn't make any sense, right? So in Africa, there was only like a 10 to 15% reduction in megafauna. Same with Central Asia. And yet these are places that were, for all intents and purposes, we know that they were more densely populated than the Americas were. And the Americas were much closer to where the hypothesized impact of the Pleistocene impact was, because it was in the northern ice sheet. And there's literally like evidence of mass, what you would call like mass graves of megafauna that all died at the same time that are still frozen in place, dead. And there's no signs of, because of the way they're preserved, there's no signs of any, external injuries that would have been caused by an animal killing them. And not only that, but can you, imagine
all those animals dying around the same time?
70 to 80 different species of megafauna, all dying at the same time, roughly, and all disappearing across 2 continents with vastly unpopulated, well, not unpopulated, but non-densely populated human communities? I don't buy it, man.
I don't know.
I mean, well, I'm curious though, because they've taught the overkill theory in multiple classes I've had. So
yeah.
Are you in on it because you've learned it in school, or have you looked much into the conflicting information? I'm interested to see why you think it is.
We talked about it briefly in my environmental ethics class.
Okay.
But hold on, I'm trying to find a book that I have that I've read some stuff about it. And who is that guy that's on Joe Rogan? Dan Flores?
Is that the?
I don't know if I've seen the one with Dan Flores.
He did the big book on the coyotes and stuff, and
I just watched that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Joe Rogan was just talking about the other day on one of his things that Dan Flores was talking about the Pleistocene overkill thing, and part of the things with the buffalo was that how you said there was a bunch of buffalo and shit, and that he believes part of because the native people that were there had the population under control, and that fuck, I'm gonna fuck all this up.
Wait, they had the bison population or their own population under control?
The bison
Okay.
population, and that it was something to do with when they left, that something about them the bison population spiking drastically when the Europeans got here, and there were so many just ridiculous amounts of bison. I think it was because of them hunting there and keeping the numbers as low as they did before they left.
See, I find that strange though, because all the historical research I've done because my main interest is Plains tribes, and most of them, their creation stories involve bison to an extent that they were always an integral and very abundant resource in the oral histories of most tribes. So the things that a lot of people don't know about, a lot of the Plains tribes, at least, I don't know if all tribes did this, but in addition to having a robust oral history that was constantly recited and passed on pretty much in every waking moment of every day, they also had what were called counts, which it was essentially a recollection of a year's worth of events, or the 12 lunar cycles. It was a representation of those events that were recorded pictographically, and there's a lot of those counts that, going back hundreds of years, still depict bison being a vastly abundant resource. But also just because, you know, people, I don't know, because like, did you know that the bison stretched all the way from like pretty much Illinois and Indiana all the way through the Rockies? Like there were bison everywhere, you know. And we tend to think that they were just like in the Great Plains, like the Dakotas and Wyoming and Montana and shit. But I mean, there was no corner of the United States or North America that was unpeopled, and the fact that resources were managed so differently, I think, doesn't necessarily mean that they weren't being managed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know like that much about it. And I'm not trying to say that I don't think the impact had like any like nothing to do with it, because obviously that would be foolish.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
I know I've seen some stuff in this. I can't find the textbook that I had, but it talked about how some researchers like underestimated the amount of like people that were actually here in like the early like Americas and stuff like that.
Right.
And that
Pre-Columbian.
yeah, and that the numbers that some people were like suggesting now were significantly higher.
Oh yeah, way higher.
And that they thought like with that explained, and they went into it in much more detail than I'm giving it credit for, but that was like really the only thing that I've like read about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious because it's a very widely circulated theory is the overkill, which obviously people must have had an impact. I mean, it would be ridiculous to think that they had no impact, but
Yeah,
I mean,
like I don't everything that I've heard and in like my ethics class, nobody has said that like it was exclusively humans doing a majority of the work, but they were saying like the impact in conjunction with like human like hunting with like the new larger population numbers that were being like suggested and stuff with like new sites that they're finding and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not in that deep either way, to be honest.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy to think that like you still have all these megafauna in Africa, but in the Americas was the only place that there was an overkill. Like I just that part is the most glaring issue for me.
I was actually talking about this at my yesterday with the same friend at school, talking about this too. He used to be a history major, so he was saying that one of the counter arguments to like Randall Carlson's type thing was that Africa was far more lush back in the day with like greenery than the North Americas were, because the climate was different back then. And what was it, 1300 BC or something like that?
1300?
13,000 BC.
13,000 years ago.
Yeah. 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 11.
So 11,000 BC. And so yeah, he was just saying that is one thing that people have used to fight what he's saying.
Oh, it's the fact that the climate was so different?
The climate was different, and Africa was more lush than the North Americas. So it could explain also why it was easier for the elephants to stay alive, but the mammoths to die.
Well, see, but the problem with that too, then, is that if the environment is difficult for one species to survive in, if it's another mammal species, it's going to be just as difficult. So it would be just as difficult for humans to get around and hunt as well, though.
Well,
I don't know, because humans could adapt to their environments better than like an animal that can't, like, if it's cold, like they can't. They can't
I don't
skin.
have any argument because I'm on your side with the belief.
No, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
yeah,
no, like I don't even know what to say to do devil's advocate.
And that's like, I think it's hard to argue about that kind of stuff because we go off of evidence that is like we just happen to find, and it's never like super conclusive evidence. It's just stuff that we date back like to a certain time. Like, I don't know if you fucking heard this on JRE the other day, but they pulled up the fact that the time difference between Cleopatra and the iPhone is closer together than Cleopatra and the time that the pyramids were made.
Wow.
And so, like, we've been here for so fucking long, and, like, we think Cleopatra, we think, like, holy fuck, that's, like, probably as old as most people thinks it gets, like, ancient Egypt, like, that's their go-to, like, ancient civilization. But, like, height of ancient Egypt, like, fucking Cleopatra and, King Tut and shit like that, like, the pyramids were already there and were already old, like, by the time they were fucking rolling around. And
Oh yeah, dude. I know. We have. Well, it's just so hard to like conceptualize that much time, because the lifespan is what 50 to 70 years. You know,
yeah.
like, I mean, nowadays it's maybe like 70 to 90 years, but still, I mean, so that's 30. No, yeah, 30,
Like, if you're lucky, you get to see a full century.
right. If you're real lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, 13,000 years is a 13. I can't even do the math. It's 130. It's 130 lifetimes back to back. If you lived 100 years every time, that's insane.
Yep.
Just how much change happens in one lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, back to the original question. So you think that Squatch is dead?
Yes.
I don't know.
Unless it's running around in, like, the fucking Amazon jungle somewhere. Like, most of North America has been mapped. Most of our forests are managed by our, like, you know, agencies and shit. Unless it's running around, like, in the Adirondacks somewhere that, like, it just, like, hides or something. I don't know.
It's hanging out up in the forests of Washington State or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, and even still, like, with the amount of, like, aerial imagery that we have and, like, the mapping that we've done and all of the, like, different forest management, like, stuff, even in Canada, like, the international, like, forest agencies, like, have had their shit going for a while, and they know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a fun, you know, theory. I don't know. I don't think, like, for sure by any metric that, like, Sasquatch is real and is running around somewhere, but I also am not all in on the fact that he doesn't exist. I think it could really go either way. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of big forests out there still, you know.
Not North America that we don't, like, know about.
Alaska's pretty untamed.
Yeah.
Alberta, you know.
But are there, like, where are the majority of the fucking Squatch huntings, like?
Well, see, but the huntings are different than the
Or
sightings.
the Squatch, like, sightings or whatever.
But this is why, though, because every culture around the world, even up until recently, has told stories of similar creatures. There's the Yeti, there's the abominable snowman, there's the skunk ape, there's the swamp ape, there's the Sasquatch, there's
Jersey Devil.
Yeah, there's every continent has, you know, myths about the Squatch.
The Squatch.
So,
But couldn't those, like, have easily just been, like you said, like, they're passed down stories from, like, a while? Like, it could have just been, like, someone's great fucking, like,
no, yeah, for sure. But the fact that they're all
Saw
over the
a bear
world
in
means
the
that the Squatch could be hiding anywhere in the world.
Maybe it's a spirit of our first ancestor that grew consciousness. And he still wanders the earth.
The first proto-hominid to do mushrooms.
Yeah. And he tripped so hard he's still wandering around the earth. But anyways, I think Sasquatch is on an island with Tupac.
Yeah, that's where he's gonna stay, too.
Because they fell in love.
They fell in love.
And that's why he had to fake his death.
So
Today's actually the 21st anniversary of Biggie Smalls' shooting.
Oh, okay, and Biggie's there too.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Okay, hold on. So I know about the fact that these deaths happened, but I don't really understand the full scope of why it's such a like speculated thing. Like, why is there so much talk about, like, oh, why did Tupac and Biggie Smalls get shot? Like, what is the whole thing about it?
Because both happened in places that there were people around, there were tons of witnesses, but, like, nobody saw anything. But the thing that, like, was connecting between the two of them was Suge Knight, who was, like, the big producer. I think that was Tupac's producer on the West Coast, and it was like a big West Side versus East Side, like the New York versus the California, Compton and shit like that. And they were both just essentially killed just based on like the rap rivalry, but neither of their killers were caught. But most people assume that it was like Suge Knight involved. And I think they might have actually like you can look up like I think one of them like they know who did it now. But and they were young. I mean, I think like Biggie was in like his 20s or 30s when he got shot or something.
Okay, see, but I've heard people talk about the fact that it was like the Illuminati that killed them. Like, why? I don't understand why.
No,
there's
that's
that
none of
degree
that is no. That's just crazy people making shit
No,
up.
no,
Like,
I know, but like, I don't understand why the circumstance would be conducive to people going to that extent of conspiracy about it. Cause like,
I couldn't tell you. He was literally just like a hip hop artist, you know.
okay, cause I've heard things even like when all that shit with like Dave Chappelle leaving Comedy Central and stuff happened. They were saying that they were afraid something like what happened to Tupac and Biggie would happen to Chappelle.
Yeah.
And like, because even Dave talked about the fact that like he couldn't wrap his head around why someone who was one of the most hard ass motherfuckers he ever knew in Tupac was running down the street yelling, "They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me!" You know, like it. I don't know. The way I've heard it talked about makes it seem a lot like there's some big thing like that somebody's in on. You know, I don't understand why. Like it.
I mean, I think it is like just the one thing that somebody's in on, but it's not like the Illuminati. It's mostly Suge Knight, who's I'm pretty sure he's in prison for doing like some other shit. Like he's not a good dude.
Right.
He was just like a thug with like money, who was like had all these like young, violent like rappers that were like literally changing the course of music history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just like because they were all still like like I mean maybe not to the point where like when they were like super popular, but they were still like slinging drugs and like involved in gang shit like while they were coming up and stuff like that. And
yeah.
they just had money, so they didn't have to like do that stuff anymore. But like all their homies that they hung out with were all still 100% still running around like killing people,
Huh. Okay.
killing each other.
Yeah, I was
Like,
just curious because I've never really looked into it that much, and I've never listened to their music, so I don't, I'm not privy to that like whole thing, I guess.
I think you would like Biggie Smalls because like I mean both of them they just like rap very like Tupac was more of like the poetic one,
Mm-hmm.
and like he had like a way with like words like just like about their struggle, but
Yeah.
Biggie Smalls more so was just like, this is what I fucking do, like I'm trying to like I have to feed my kids, I've been to jail, like I have to sell drugs, I have to do this stuff, like
Yeah.
this is like the cards that I were dealt, and like this is what I'm doing. But like it was just like raw, they're just like, this is like the life that we live, and like you don't have to like it, but this is like our like normal.
Right. Huh. I'll have to look into it. I've been trying to branch out into like hip hop and rap a little more after listening to Wu-Tang and digging it a lot.
Oh, listen to Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar.
Pimp a Butterfly by
To
Kendrick
Pimp
Lamar.
a Butterfly.
To Pimp a Butterfly.
That got me more into hip hop.
Okay. I like lo-fi hip hop. Sarah was showing me some lo-fi hip hop.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really fucking chill, man. Like,
Hip hop.
yeah, we just smoked and we're just like chilling and listening to that for a while. It was really like, I liked a lot of the keyboard that was going on. I'm a sucker for keyboard. Okay, well this got kind of like intense.
That's good though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm glad we got to some raw shit, but like to end it on a slightly lighter note. So, what is a song that each of you have been just fucking, or a couple of songs, I guess, or something like that, you guys have just been really digging lately?
I've been listening to a lot of stuff.
I've been like, the one song that's been getting to me this week that's just like so good is "Isn't It a Pity" by George Harrison. Such a good song.
Preach.
I love that song though. Like that's probably like my favorite song this week for sure.
Oh, you know what? I've been on the Slightly Stupid.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fat. I busted out the guitar again the other day, Newman.
Oh, finally!
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I learned how to play Fat Spliffs.
Really?
I've been bumping that.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, do you have your old guitar back in Seaville still?
Yeah, I have a guitar back in Seaville. Yeah.
All right. Well, we should jam or some shit when you're back.
Yeah, that won't be bad.
Love you bad, Bobo.
Oh, and Reggae My Lightus by Peter Tosh.
Never heard of that.
Peter Tosh or Ray Mylitis?
Both.
Peter Tosh was one of the original members of the Wailers.
Oh.
And he went on to his own robust career before he was shot, wasn't he?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was some kind of tragic death, just like Marley.
Yeah.
The OGs, man. I think Bunny Wailer was the only one that actually lived to be an old man out of the three. I think.
How about you for songs?
I think since D&D, I've been listening to that Donkey Kong soundtrack a lot.
Nice.
So that Stickerbush Symphony song gets me every time. But I also Sarah showed me this band called the Oh Hellos, who I'd never listened to before, and I forget the name of the album, but it was fucking phenomenal, man. It was really good. So that whatever that album is, the whole thing was great.
Nice.
And then I've been getting into some Spangle again recently.
Spangle?
Yeah. Is he Schwanger? Yeah. Do you want to? No, we'll let her sleep. I was gonna say, do you want to wake her up to?
He was shot.
You don't want to wake the dragon.
Up. You want to say goodbye? You want to say it again?
Did you wake her up?
Favorite song this week? Now you're awake.
Yeah, Della, what's your favorite song this week?
That's a good question. I think I am feeling. I'm not too sure what my song is this week.
Thank you.
You sound like you just drank a half a bottle of Jaeger.
Yeah.
She looks like it.
I feel fucked up.
Fucked up. That's what happens when you take an hour and a half long nap.
She's got
Did
a
I
poncho
really?
on.
Well,
Did I take
it's
an hour and a half long nap?
At
It's
least
been an
an
hour
hour.
and 15 or so.
Holy shit. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, she
hold on.
always is.
I always take a nap around this time.
Adela,
Yeah?
do you believe in the Sasquatch?
Yeah?
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right.
I do too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Lame.
Sorry, Eric.
I've argued with Alexander about this, man, and that was a tough one.
Yeah, Alexander's all in, man. I'm definitely
is
not
he?
as all in as he is.
I want to talk to him about it. See what he has to say.
Okay, he is all in on the Sasquatch.
Gigantopithecus, man.
What did you say?
Gigantopithecus, man. There is one of my favorite memories, in general, it was a while ago. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were all, and by we I mean Alexander and me and the Harrises and their girlfriends and just whoever. We were all chilling in the basement, and we were watching some show about Sasquatch, some Animal Planet or Science Channel or whatever show. And Alexander was getting pretty drunk, and the Harrises left, and they went upstairs to leave, and I walked them out. And I was up there for a little while, you know, because they went out and they smoked a cigarette, so I like hung out with them and I was talking to them. Came back down probably 10 minutes later, you know, and I come downstairs, and instead the show that was on TV now, I couldn't quite make out what it was because it was like a lot of different like vice crime kind of stuff. There was like drug related stuff, like cartels and stuff, and I was like, oh fuck, what the? So I asked Alexander, I was like, dude, what are you watching, man? And he's like, he was like, oh man, Sasquatch is making fucking drugs, man. What the fuck are you talking about? He was like, dude, I'm fucking Sasquatch. He's making fucking drugs, man. He's running the cartels. I was like, what? And he was just, I think, just so blackout drunk, or brownout drunk, I should say, that he just somehow thought that he was watching the same show that whole time still. And so it went from Sasquatch to cartels, yeah. And like, oh, it was phenomenal. It was great. But yeah, all right. Well, with that, bye.
Adios.
See you later, Senor.
All right, we'll see you soon, guys.
All right, man. Enjoy your midterms and shit next week.
Yep.
All right, see ya.